Happy to be
Well,
here. Yeah.
shall we kick it off?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Hey, is it's Corriveau? Is that right? Corriveau?
Yeah, man, I've heard so many different versions. Corvu, man, just it's Corey, like like a
Yeah,
guy's name, Corey, and like VO. So like that's how it's pronounced. So, but it's
Corriveau.
actually yeah, and it's
Okay.
Corriveau. It's French.
Yeah.
My first language is French. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
figured it was French, just knowing you were from Canada. But when I was doing that little, I like sometimes do shorts to, promote what's coming. And
yeah,
I was like, man, I hope I get this right. So,
yeah, Corriveau.
welcome to the Work Hard People's Podcast. Hope everybody out there's having a great day. I'm James, the old guy. We have the beautiful Miss Emma, and our guest tonight is Matt Corriveau. Right? Say it again.
Corriveau, Corvo. It's
There we
it's
go,
all it's
Corriveau.
all the
Good, good,
same.
good.
Super happy to
So
be here.
that's good. We're glad to have you. Matt is so Matt, I found out used to be a firefighter. He is also used to be part of the old Axe and Sledge Demo Crew Elite. He is a competitive bodybuilder and now a full-time bodybuilding coach or transformation coach. So does fitness and nutrition, and we're gonna kind of dive in, figure out Matt's story a little bit. But let's first of all, we'll wish the lovely Miss Emma happy Mother's Day. Did you have a good day
Yes, happy
today?
Mother's Day. Absolutely.
Thank you. Yes, I did. We went to the beach and it's pretty much all I like to do now. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. So hey Matt, just diving in, I just want to ask real fast, what made you decide to become a firefighter? That's awesome.
Gosh, um, I think just I think every boy growing up is like the typical like I want to get into firefighting or like police, just being like law enforcement and stuff like that. Just from working oil field, like super labor intensive work, and just not really sure what I wanted to do, and just hearing other friends and stuff kind of going into that. Um, it was really something like, you know what, maybe I'll give this a try. So just after years of gypsying around, I just went out on a limb. I actually did my fire school in College Station, Texas. So that was in
okay.
2014. So it was only 3 months, and it's a whole different world down there, right? So
Yeah, yeah. College Station's
yeah,
fun.
yeah. So
Emma's
that was
from
like
Texas.
that was January, February, March. So it was right before like March Madness started. Um, but we didn't get to experience that. But it was only, yeah, like just 90 days worth of material. I think the courses go a lot longer up this way, probably a little more expensive too. So, but yeah, I was down there. That was, gosh, what are we, 2023? Yeah.
Hmm.
And so that was back in 2014. So did that, came back to, came back home and went out in the oil field and all that stuff. And I did a lot of volunteering in the beginning. So, and I kind of only stuck with volunteering, probably put quite a bit of time into that alongside my full time job. And I never got into it full time, like the city that I was living in. I tried to get on with the city probably maybe about 3 times. It was very political. So it all comes down to like who you knew.
Oh
Like
yeah.
my dad wasn't in there for like 15 years, 20 years. So it's just like
My
why this guy?
brother-in-law, my brother-in-law is a firefighter, and it was the same way. Like when he was testing, he's a firefighter, and well, he was. He's retired now, but he was in Clark County, Nevada, so Las Vegas,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And it was the same way. Very political, very hard to get in. Once you're in, though, you're in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I did a lot of volunteering. So it was just the volunteer department that I was part of. So this was in the city of St. John. So it's approximately, so that's where my daughter is. I was saying earlier before we started, just about an hour and a half away. So I was trying to get on full time with that city. But in the meantime, I was just volunteering on the outskirts. So kind of out by the airport. But it would take me like 15, 20 minutes to get out there. So, I mean, I was heavily involved in the training like week to week. But like it was a lot to take on top of like being with her on the schedule that I had with her in my full-time job too. So no, eventually it just kind of, faded away, and I kind of dove into doing my own thing. Like, you know what, like what do I like doing? Like just working out, and like I always knew there was something more. So everything just kind of, in a nutshell, like relationships will change you, right? So personally, like just my chain of events, like maybe like right before COVID started, what is that, 2020 or 2021?
I
Yeah,
think, yeah,
2020.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of right prior to that, which was good timing. So I'm very thankful for that. I just ended up diving into my own thing and just coaching and just still trying to figure it out. So I don't think
Tell
anybody
you
really
real
has it all.
fast, man.
Yeah,
One of the things I love about you, dude, is you are, well, from the outside looking in, right? So just
yeah,
so I don't know you personally, we haven't hung out. I've watched you on social media. We've had several
yeah.
conversations over the past few years on Messenger and stuff about different things, which I'm very grateful for. You've always given me great information, but you're a dad, dude, and your daughter loves the shit out of you.
Yeah, we have
Right? I
fun.
mean, you guys look, when I see those pictures, I love those almost more than your other stuff because you guys are in
Yeah.
each other. You are having a great time. How, being a single dad, how is that with you, man? When you have her, is that, how's that fit
Um,
into your life?
it's a lot of fun. I think we probably have more fun than we should. But really, it's just like, and the schedule's changed a little bit since the move here to my current city, like last July, roughly. So I'm a little further away. So I don't have as much time. Like I can't really get her throughout the week. So I kind of miss out on that. But where I live, we have a lot more to do and stuff too. So I just kind of look at the positives where, there's a beach not too far. There's plenty of stuff to do. Where I was prior, it was by the water, it was overcast. The weather was always pretty shitty, so there wasn't a whole
Yeah.
lot. But so I kind of sacrificed some time with her. But when like I do have her, like I just had her like Friday evening up until this evening. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just she loves going to the gym with me. We go to the trampoline park. We just do like with the warmer weather coming around. Just kind of getting out more. Not being in prep helps a lot too. Um, so this is actually the first time being like I'm getting into like the new season starting with summer, being able to get out more, not having to focus on, a specific goal, like prepping for something that kind of takes away from any enjoyment, like going out to eat and stuff like that. So sometimes she's the first to say, like, are we going to the gym? So yeah, so we did that just Friday night, and that's kind of how it all happens, right? So I mean, she's not really doing anything when we're there, but she's in that environment. She has her iPad and stuff, and like just like she knows that's part of what I do, right? So that's kind of how you slowly integrate them into kind of living that lifestyle, right? So it's a little opposite from the other household that she's in. They're not really they have a few other kids there too, so it's not really something that is like of main focus, right? So, but that's pretty much we eat, sleep, and breathe it when she's here, right? So,
That's cool.
yeah,
We've talked about that too before with Sin. How he always like has his kids like they are so integrated into what he the lifestyle that he lives. I mean, sometimes they'll call him out whenever he's eating like an Oreo or something. They're like, Dad,
yeah, yeah,
having that? Are you
yeah,
supposed to be eating that right now? So it's really cool to see it. I mean, again, like with someone just showing that it's not just for a season, like it's a whole entire lifestyle. And you don't have to live the typical, I mean, American lifestyle, but it seems to be most of the world now with all of the foods and everyone has a screen in front of their face and there's no activity and it's just
exactly.
constantly dopamine chasing and what's the next, quick high that we can have as far as inside of our brains and not I won't go on that rant, but it's just really cool to see that.
No, I
No,
get
wait,
that absolutely.
we
So
call them the Emma rants. Let's go, Emma. Come on. We love these things.
no,
Oh my
I understand
God.
that. Like she's on her iPad and stuff at the gym, but we trying to like even, I know she probably does that quite a bit, probably in her mom's household. So it's just
Hmm.
the main thing is being aware of that and just trying to kind of, not let it happen too much.
Everything in moderation.
Yeah. So, and then like just getting out to move, like just going out to the trampoline park and just doing stuff, going to the park, just doing things that are pretty much on the opposite end of the spectrum. Just getting out to just moving and stuff is, kids, they got plenty of energy nowadays too, right? So,
Yep, definitely. They
yeah.
just there was a study that just came out saying that kids in these last two generations have the influx of children needing glasses because of constantly staring too close and not looking farsighted, like at objects far away and only staring at stuff really close. Like so many children now have to have glasses because they can't see far away because their eyes have never been able to train to focus because they're too busy looking at screens or pretty much just screens right in front
The
of
new
them.
babysitter, right?
Huh?
It's the new babysitter, right?
Yeah, right.
Put him in front of that
Exactly.
screen.
Gosh. Yeah.
She just looks over at what Grant's doing
It was
right
a
now.
fly. No, it was a fly. I was like, it threw me off.
I couldn't help it. I was like, is she looking at Grant right now?
No, Grant didn't come in here a second ago to show me
That's
his
funny.
Fuzzy Woody
Oh,
toy.
that's funny. That's good.
Yeah.
So Matt, when you started lifting, I mean, did you immediately have the desire to want to bodybuild, or was it just you just wanted to be in a gym lifting some stuff?
Gosh. I don't. It was very like it was a very gradual process, which I think it is for a lot of people. I don't think everyone is really like one day to the next, like, okay, I'm going to take this super serious. I was in the reserve military before, so it's more of like a part-time thing. Just from being where I was from in Quebec originally, um, I would just I was up here in New Brunswick, which is approximately like 9 hours away. Just being on base, I kind of got into just lifting, but the way it all started for me was like I would lift. My first stop was always the liquor store, like especially come the weekend. So it was really just, like, okay, I feel good, and like let's go out, and like just kind of that was a bit of a phase. And I think over time, like you start realizing like, okay, this is not serving me much anymore, and like trying to make something a little more, at least like just eliminating certain habits and stuff. So it was very like and this was probably, I want to say probably 14 years ago is when I initially started. So it's always kind of been something that I've enjoyed doing. But it wasn't up until like October of 2022. So last October, just going around like and just getting around to doing my first show. So, I mean, a lot of life circumstances over these last couple of years have kind of like brought me into doing my own thing. And then the training aspect was always something I was super familiar with, but competing is still like relatively new to me. But it kind of the whole training thing started, 14 years ago, and it wasn't really nothing too serious. But once you start seeing those changes, like, okay, like I'm feeling pretty good, and just eliminating, like I said, certain things that don't really serve you in the long run, and just cut out a lot of people too. So, but a lot of the times I was
Yeah.
just the fact that I was gypsying around quite a bit too, like whether it be work, and living, finally being settled now for the long term. I was always kind of on my own anyways. So, it kind of facilitated the idea of like, okay, like these people don't really serve me and stuff. So I never really had any issues kind of diving into my own thing. But just the awareness and like kind of all the stuff that englobes, self-improvement is you spend so much time with yourself that it's just made matters, much better, and just being aware of everything and just like what serves me best. Like what do I want and stuff like that, right? So
Go ahead, Emma, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, is it just that self-isolation allows you to just really like divulge in yourself and see what truly matters, and like where you actually stand with yourself and where your identity is at the end of the day. Like, what do you identify with? And if you identify with stuff that you turn around and would probably talk shit about someone else about, like all they do is go out and drink every weekend, they eat like shit, they don't spend time with so and so, they don't care about their kids, and all of a sudden if you identify with any of those characteristics, you're like, oh, never mind. I some of those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pull it back.
I think living that lifestyle, right? The bodybuilding lifestyle, other than prep, right? You feel good. You feel better. Your muscles feel good. Your joints feel good. Your belly feels good. At least for me. I can't speak to everybody, but for me, when I'm eating right and doing those things, you feel good. I know prep sucks, that is like prep really is, I mean, not healthy, right? When you're that lean and that dialed in for that short period of time, it's not a great window. But for the rest of it, I mean, you feel pretty good, right?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, that's kind of, you go to the gym just to feel better about yourself and stuff too. Obviously, like now, not being in prep, the extra food is serving me pretty well when it comes to my lifts. Like everything's so much, your mindset's so much better. But also, I'm like, I look at myself in the mirror some days, like, oh, I wish I could go back to being leaner. Maybe I should dial it back. But like on the other hand, like I want to grow. I was like, frig, like, okay, maybe I'll just do this. And then like summer's coming too. So,
I saw you
um,
snatch that weight up the other day, dude. When I see that message, I was like, holy crap, you lifted that off the ground like it was a pillow and started doing RDLs with
oh
it. I was like,
yeah,
no freaking way, dude.
I used bumper plates, so it probably looked heavier than it actually
Well,
was.
yeah, I thought it was 405, dude. So what? You said it was 315?
Yeah, it was 315. I did put 405 my last set, but just the camera that I ended up using on my phone, I think when I had my earbuds plugged into it, it was just very laggy and skippy, like when it was
Yeah.
recording. So I was like, it's not really quality video to share. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stick with the 315 and throw that on my story. So
I'm gonna tell everybody that's listening. I'm gonna tell you right now. One of the things that you'll love about Matt, if you follow his social media, he's on Facebook and Instagram, but and we'll post all that stuff in the description. Make sure and get that to us. But um, his form is on point. He does his videos in a way where you can actually see the form, how he's lifting, how he's contracting the muscle. They're very educational. Not to mention you can see a dude putting up some big weight because you do lift heavy.
yeah, I think it really comes down to even for the most part, like just the basics. I don't really get too technical in everything that I do. I don't really overthink a whole lot, and I don't really think anyone really needs to. And then in this day and age, we're just bombarded with so much information. Like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Like, just do it. Go, like, use a weight that will allow you to exert yourself. Like, get to that. I've always been a higher rep range, so sometimes it'll
Me
vary
too.
from like
Do
12
you
to
have a
15.
number? Yeah, sorry, I was just
20,
gonna ask. Yeah.
24. This is like, I don't know why, but 24 has always been my number. Like since I first started, just out of like, it's just a thing for me, but not for every lift. So not all
Yeah.
like sets, but 24 has always been something that I'm just like, if I can make it to 24, like I'm good. So I
Yeah.
think in the long run it's served me. But yeah, I've always been huge on just the basics, not overcomplicating anything. Like you want to grow, then like work hard, break a sweat, get some food down, stick to the good, clean foods that'll get you to, that'll fuel you properly. And it's just like, just make it part of your day to day. You prioritize that. As long as you're getting enough sleep, you're getting the right foods in adequate amounts if you want to grow, or vice versa. If you're looking to lean out, and just train with a purpose, and just not rushing like your reps and stuff. So yeah, a lot of times like I might go higher reps, but like everything is always fairly controlled. And a lot of times I don't always use heavy weights either. So I think that the main thing is just using a weight that will allow you to kind of reach that point of fatigue and then some. And just like dumbbell lateral raises, for example, like I don't typically use any more than like 15 or like 17 and a half. And sometimes you see people just, using 30s or 35s just all out of whack. I'm like, there's no need for that
Got
really.
my little
But
7.5s.
Yeah, but
yeah,
Emma, no, Emma,
hey, if it
I
does the
like to
trick,
lift like that. Emma lifts very controlled. When
yeah,
you watch her, she's very controlled, always looking to contract the muscle. She does a great job in the gym.
You should have seen me do my RDLs the other day. This guy, he was probably doing like 4 or 5. I don't even know. I just stopped watching because I was creeping him out. I think I was waiting on him to finish, and then he was taking off the weights, and there was 45s left on there. He's like, "You want me to leave those on there?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" So I went to do those, and I think I got 3 reps in. And I was like, "This is bad. Like this is so bad." So I just did like 2 more. And then I unwrapped it and put some 25s on, and then I put some 35s on, but it was
there we
so
go.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is humbling as shit.
Yeah, I'd
like
rather get some quality reps in
Yeah.
with a lighter weight than
I'm
anything
like you.
else.
I like volume. I prefer volume. I will do some compound movements to like 8. I try never if I can't lift it at least 8 times, I try not to do it.
Yeah.
But I like the high volume. I actually have um I call them jump volume weeks.
Okay. Yep.
And I do them more for my head than anything else. And I will literally go into the gym and just pick an insane number. Like I went in there, I do them maybe every 6, 7 weeks, right? It's just to go in there and mentally say I did that. It's kind of like when Seth does his 100 squats, right? Same
Yep.
principle. It's just what can I get my mind to grasp? And I went in there last week and literally I was like, okay, I'm doing 600 reps on my shoulders today. I'm doing 200 for
Yeah.
each area of the delt. Yeah, granted, by the end, I was doing side laterals with 5 pound dumbbells, but I'm telling you, the pump was insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if that's what works for you, that's what you enjoy doing too. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not working, if you don't have a specific training style that will complement you the best in order to achieve a certain thing, like if you're going through prep, I'll listen to my coach, and his training style that he provides to me is a bit different from what I typically do. So like I'll follow that. But outside of that, I'm typically just doing what I like to do and kind of what I feel has always worked best for me. Right. So
Yeah. Yeah, I like to work the physical and the mental in the gym because the gym is literally Prozac to me. So, how'd you get
yeah.
into what was the idea to get into coaching? Like, when did you decide you wanted to get out there and help
Uh,
people
I always
transform?
knew actually that the last job I had, so I was working for a transport company. I did that for about 4 years, maybe 4.5 years. And yeah, I always knew there was something more because like I would go into my job. I enjoyed it. It was very labor intensive. My food intake was very high just because I was on the go, just doing deliveries, like in town deliveries, just lugging stuff outside of a straight truck and like into businesses and all that stuff, like pallets and you name it. Lots of heavy lifting and stuff, lots of lugging. Um, but yeah, prior to just COVID hitting in 2020, like I went through just a few relationship things. Like that's a thing in the past. Like we're both, good, happy for each other now. And then that just kind of pushed me to, make something of myself, right? So not gonna
And you're
lie, like I
coaching
went.
full time? Is that your full time gig now?
Yeah, it is. So, I went through my own hardships that kind of pushed me into like discomfort. I've always been like a very introvert. So that's why like when I talk about training for like 13 or 14 years and only getting around to doing my first show like last October, um, I've always kind of kept to myself. So, the whole idea of like getting into the discomfort of things, like putting yourself out there, like generally speaking, if you want to make it like a name for yourself, especially in the fitness industry, like it all comes down to putting yourself out there online. And that was super, super hard for me at first. And not a lot of people know that. Like I've talked about that to some people. But it's probably not the impression that most people would get initially. But even like nowadays, sometimes like I do have days that come around where like you're a little more reserved and stuff like that, which I think is normal. But um, big aspect into getting to do my own thing was really diving into that discomfort and putting my full-time job behind. Like, okay, if I were to make something of this and really start serving others, which at the end of the day I think is the ultimate life thing. If you can provide value and like help others in order to improve themselves, there's no better line of work, and that can be done in various domains of work too, like not just in coaching, but there's many other jobs that allow you, or careers that allow you to do that too. But I find there's so much value in being able to allow someone to feel so much better about themselves, essentially just revamping their whole lives, right? So but you learn so much along the way. Most people from a surface level way of thinking is just like, oh, you're just one of those gym guys, huh? But it's just the whole mindset. There's so much depth to it, right? So just the mindset aspect and all that too. So there's a lot to it.
Emma talks about that a lot about just there's so much bad information out there, right? And
Yeah.
we're just trying to put good good information out there. I mean, she does. That's like her soapbox, and I love it because there is a lot of just there's a lot of bad information out there. You're right, Emma? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's bad. It's not even just even fitness and health. I've just been seeing some straight up bullshit, and oh my gosh, it drives me insane. These people, like, this is the next generation that is supposed to come into the world and just be the world, and it's absolutely terrifying. I mean, how you were saying, Matt, like there's so many different careers where it's not, there's so many different aspects where you can help people, and that's how I do that's how I do my job as well. It's through, protecting people's families and their assets, and I make money off of also helping other people in the hardest times in their lives, right? And some of the most stupid stuff that I saw yesterday. Someone was posting on a TikTok about if you run out of money, you can cash out your life insurance policy. And I'm like, okay, they know what they're talking about. Then someone had the audacity to say, no, if you cash it out and you lie to them, they'll sue you for their money back. And I'm just like, these people I feel so bad for them. And then it's just a never ending list between fitness and the million things I see on intermittent fasting, on keto, on how to lift weights. There's this girl I see saying how to get a snatched waist on TikTok. And I'm like, that's not even how it works. Like, there's no such thing as a snatched waist. Like, lose weight and build a back. And please, there's nothing else you can do. Like,
that's the biggest, right? If you do sit-ups, you'll lose the fat only in your stomach and nowhere else, right?
Exactly. They're like, if you do these side things, you'll get a snatched waist. I'm like, no, you will not. You will. No, that's not how it works.
Oh man.
God,
there's a lot out there. There's a lot out there. I think it just comes down to just, common sense at the end of the day. Just, trying to just being aware of like, okay, this makes sense. Maybe I can eliminate this. Like, just kind of drawing like a general consensus of.
Yes.
But yeah, everyone's you're bombarded with so much. And that's why, again, like I said previously, just stick to the basics, and the basics will always be something that's, the fundamentals are always what works best. Right. So you get yeah.
I was going to say, Matt, I'm a little familiar with your coaching style because you coached a friend of mine. I don't know if you remember. You remember Michael Pate a couple years back?
Yeah.
I reached out to you about him and explained a little bit about his situation. And he showed me the meal plan that you put together for him. And it's one of the things that I loved because Matt, very similar to us, he doesn't say eat chicken and rice. He says, like when he was talking, like Michael was telling me about, when he's talking to people, he's asking them, hey, what kind of foods do you like? What kind of foods don't you like? And then he's taking these foods that they like and structuring them and helping them develop a program that they can eat food that they like, that's going to be healthy, give them the nutrients that they need and the macros that they need to benefit them and achieve their goals.
Yeah.
And that's the best way because, I just did a thing on a little thing on some questions that I had gotten about diet. And one of the questions I get all the time is, what's the best diet? And I'm like, dude, the one you'll stick to, man. It's the one that you're going to stick to and enjoy, and it's going to suit your goals.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I find the more variety you implement, the more you kind of take away from, accelerating in progress that you're looking to make. So
I agree.
Really, so there's a couple different ways that I provide them. Like if some people like to have quick little, like if they like spending time in the kitchen, essentially, quick little recipe ideas that are put together through the app that I use. So it's kind of something that's all integrated. And just like all the portion sizes are preset. Recipe ideas, plenty that you can choose from and like swap, and just kind of create your own like 4-meal template for the day. Provide 2 or 3 different days worth, and like whatever meals that you choose will all add up to whatever the calorie count that's established, whatever your goals are. Then there's the other aspect where it's much more like a bodybuilding style, where Not just chicken and rice. I don't really like saying that because it sounds very plain Jane, but there's so many different ways that you can cook your foods, different proteins you can implement, just low calorie sauces like salt-free seasonings and stuff like that. Just a matter of being creative with what you throw together. But for the most part, if you're sticking to like nutrient dense whole foods, that's always your best bet. So I try and provide like 2 or 3 different days worth to individuals that I work and take on. But some of them, like after a few weeks, especially if they're new to the game, where it's just like, oh, I can't eat this anymore. And like, I'm literally eating this every day. It's like a dog diet, right?
Yeah,
So it never
yeah.
changes. But I think you have to get yourself to a certain point, like, okay, well, I like the changes that I'm seeing, but I'm like not a huge fan of the food, but I'm eating for the purpose and not necessarily the enjoyment, but really a matter of finding that middle ground where you can still enjoy what you're taking in and consuming and still make that progress that you want in order to achieve your goals too, right? So, you want to make things super, super enjoyable. And like, it's just like, okay, I really love my meals and stuff. Like you want to have all the good foods, but you're going to take away from, any type of progression that you'll make, whether you want to lose weight or gain weight. So
I
it's
like
just,
to talk about that too, like the rush, the adrenaline that you get, that rush you get from eating those foods that taste. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I talk about it all the time. And I don't know if you've ever heard it, but like Whataburger, you probably had it down in College Station.
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
Green chili double French fry, like that is my go-to. That is my ultimate
Yeah.
meal. I love it. But that's a lot of the things that I like to touch on because a lot of people don't want to. They feel like they're missing out because maybe they're eating a little more healthy and they're not getting that rush of dopamine from the fast food, the processed food that does taste really good. No one's lying that it tastes good. Of course, it tastes good. But they don't want to make that sacrifice to have that long-term goal because they've never experienced the dopamine rush and the serotonin levels, increased serotonin levels from the results of the hard work that you put in. When you work hard for something and then you see the results for it, it's so much more satisfying than just the little highs that you can get off of food and going out with friends and X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z. So
It is too. Yeah. Absolutely. And if you can get yourself in a position where like, okay, this is routine. I'm good with the foods that I'm eating. I'm training my ass off, like I'm making progress. Then it gives you a little more room to enjoy yourself if you want to get out and stuff, as opposed to you can be in a position where you're not progressing as much as you could be, and still wanting to go out and just have all your fun and stuff. But if you can get yourself in a place where like, okay, this is routine for me to eat the same foods all the time, and really progress at a much faster rate, then perhaps there's a little more leniency when it comes to wanting to just do the odd thing and kind of get out there, right? So
exactly.
yeah, so it's a vicious. That's kind of it can be rough for some, especially if you don't really understand it all in the beginning, but it all comes with time.
That mental part at first, right? Once you get past that, and it takes time to get that switch, but that's the hardest part. At least it was for me. That's the hardest part when you're starting something new. It's just that overcoming the mental challenge of change because we like things the way we like them, right?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the individuals that I take on, like within the first 12 weeks or even like the first 30 days, they get so hard up on themselves and they want to see all these immediate changes happen. But, your body is, especially if it's all new to you, like it takes a lot. It's like your body's like, okay, what the hell's going on right here? So like over the first 3 to 4 weeks, it's like, okay, like the food intake has changed. Your physical activities are probably a lot higher. So it's all internal at first. As you guys know, like you can weigh the same and start feeling better about yourself. And like the scale itself will not dictate if you're having a good day or a bad day. And I find myself, which is super normal, but, reminding individuals and sometimes a lot of the same ones that, it is a long-term thing. And most successful individuals that I've always taken on have always been much more than just 12 weeks, right? So you obviously, you only get what you put in at the end of the day. And some people, they'll come and they'll work for 12 weeks and like, that's it. And sometimes carry on their own and sometimes come back because they don't have the accountability factor anymore. So really it's just Yeah, it's a long game, right?
Yeah,
But
I
once you
often
get
see.
yourself in
Oh, go ahead, keep
once
going. Sorry.
once you get yourself in a position where you're seeing those changes, then that, it's motivation in itself to kind of keep going. And it's like,
Yes,
then you reach that point where it's like there's no going back, and like that's
exactly.
Yeah.
2.0.
Well,
Yeah,
I often say that fitness and health is not measured in days and weeks; it's measured in months and years.
it is absolutely. Make a
It's
good
just
point.
it is a long game. I mean, when I look at different pictures, like even I look at pictures from 3 years ago, the width of my back
Yeah,
is like it's night and day. I can't like I looked at I saw like a before and after from a few weeks ago to from 3 years ago, and I was like, holy crap, it's not even the same dude. That's a totally different back. It just it didn't happen overnight. It like snuck up on me, right? After years
yeah,
of hitting it really hard. So, but yeah,
absolutely.
it's definitely a long
People
game.
forget that you didn't get fat overnight. You're not going to lose it overnight. It takes years to get fat. It takes years to get to where you really want to be.
Absolutely. And one thing I found that it was super important to do, especially for those who are really applying themselves, just sending them a side by side of their initials. And like if you're 13 or 14 weeks later, you're not going to see those changes day to day. So I'm like, okay, just all of a sudden, like their front and their like it could be just like the front pose, like from week 1 to like week 13, then that comes through their chat and they see that, they're like, holy shit. So like, you know
Yeah,
what? That's a good it's a good reminder that, obviously you're not going to see these things happen day to day, but you're going to feel a lot better. The aesthetics part will follow. It's all internal at first, like your metabolism is going to adjust. That's why the way I put it is that I don't really put too much like how-to videos in any of the content that I put out there, because it really is all about mindset, right? So somebody who's not in the right headspace when it comes to self-improvement, like the last thing on their mind is like how to deadlift, how to do bicep curls and all that stuff, right? So
Mhm.
yeah,
I'm very big on mindset, and just more on the motivational side and just kind of getting people moving. So that's why sometimes it's never really like I might put out full workouts and stuff like that, but I don't really have a whole lot in regards to like how to perform certain exercises. It really is just once you get yourself into the right headspace, you're making it routine, and like I said earlier, you're seeing these changes coming on. Like there really is no going back, right? So
that's right.
Exactly.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
and so being able to bring that on to someone and like in like their own household and like impact the relationships within themselves first, and then have that infiltrate, with everybody else around them, like their kids and all that stuff, and being able to kind of keep up with them and just improve their moods overall, like it has, much more of an impact than I think we as coaches, like we're aware that it happens, but you won't always hear about, the positive outcomes of certain things that, like I've had some clients where it's like, they've gotten promotions and all that stuff, like their life's improving and just the relationships with everyone is great. So hearing that feedback from certain individuals just makes your line of work, just give you a sense of, it's very rewarding, right? So
Absolutely. Hey Matt,
yeah,
well, I know it's late where you're at, and it's pretty late here.
no sweat. No,
One
that's fine.
thing, if
That's all
if
right.
you could tell somebody one thing, what would it be?
uh Gosh, that's a good one. Whatever you decide to pursue, like just go all in and just tune out the noise. I think at the end of the day, like everybody, in some way wants to feel good about themselves. And it's really diving into that specific thing. Like, what do you like doing and how you turn that into something lucrative, and being of service to others as well is really the ultimate thing. So, really, like whatever you are passionate about, dive into it. And it's going to require you to get uncomfortable for a certain amount of time. Just like, I've gone through all that. And it amazes me that I've actually done all that for myself. And I find myself to be much more of a routine type, like, okay, I'm not necessarily comfortable in what I do, but whatever discomfort you have to go through in order to get to where you want to be, like that is absolutely going to pay off. Yeah. And I find
100%.
like I went through it. I still go through it like every single day. And I find like we put ourselves in a position where we kind of question, sometimes even doubt kind of what we're doing. but it's important to check yourself and realize and just be super aware of like have those self conversations with you and like, you know what, like just remember who you are. And you know, sometimes like certain individuals will go through certain circumstances that give us no choice but to turn things around for the better too, right? So, and I think
100%.
most people, when it comes to improvement, there's a lot of circumstances that have kind of pushed them into doing that, where it's like, all right, there's no going back, right? So,
Yeah, that's good.
um,
Dive in and serve others, man. I love that. That is
yeah,
fantastic.
absolutely. And there's always like there's gonna be like there's endless amounts of people coming and going. So someone's always gonna need something from someone, and it's all about providing value to people, right? So if you can make
Yeah.
somebody feel good about themselves and just establish good relationships at the end of the day, that's all going to come full circle too, right? So, and word travels fast. So if you can maintain good relationships with people in general, you know, people
Yeah.
talk, and obviously you want to be honest with yourself and everyone that you either work with or establish relationships with, and it'll all come to fruition, you know, in the long run. So, but
100%. You almost use Emma's favorite line. Get very comfortable being uncomfortable.
yeah, it that's the truth. Like, um, I was just out of town a couple weeks ago, out of routine from what I typically know here, and I'm like, you know what, like that was uncomfortable for me a little bit, but it took that for me to, in order to just like, okay, like I want to get out of like just enjoy myself a little bit more. So, but I was very I don't want to say I was comfortable getting back into routine, but it's just kind of what I know that allows me to perform much better. Because once you know, like, okay, I have everything set in place. Like when I wake up in the morning, I have a set way of going about my day. And that's what allows me to be much more productive than trying to do that in a different environment. Even if I'm just getting away to like enjoy myself for 3 or 4 days. Right. So,
That's
um,
awesome. That is awesome. But hey,
yeah,
dude, thanks so much for coming. In the future, if there's anything you got going on, you want to come on here and promote, or you just want to sit down and chat again, I love talking with you. Like I said, it's definitely late. I know Emma's got to get running, so we're gonna cut out of here. But Emma, you got any last words you want to say?
No, not today.
Not today. You're good. You got it. Well, hey, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. We appreciate all the views, everything that everybody's doing for us. And definitely check out Matt's social media stuff. He's got some great things going on. We will definitely list all of his social medias in the description on the podcast there. And with that, just remember to get out there and work hard, peoples. Don't forget to smile.
that's right.
Thanks so much for watching or listening. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook at Work Hard Peoples LLC or Instagram at Work Hard Peoples LLC. You can also find us on our website at workhardpeoples.com. Have a great day or night. Don't forget to smile.